Have you ever brought a new pet home and watched your cat turn into a completely different animal? Not aggressive, not scared, just cold, distant, like something quietly shifted inside them, like they made a decision you weren't invited to. Most people laugh it off. Oh, she's just being a cat. But what if that's not what's happening at all? What if what you're seeing is an attitude, but something that runs much, much deeper? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at your cat in a completely different way. Let's start with a story a lot of you will recognize. You bring home a puppy, or maybe a second cat, maybe even a new baby, and for the first few days, your cat disappears. Not physically, they're still in the house, but emotionally, they vanish. The cat who used to sleep beside you every night suddenly chooses the top of the wardrobe. The cat who always meowed for breakfast now eats in silence if they eat at all. You tell yourself they just need time to adjust. But here's the thing, they're not adjusting, they're watching. And what they're watching is you. Cats are deeply observational animals. Scientists who study feline cognition have found that cats pay close attention to their owner's emotional cues, voice direction, and even eye contact with other animals. When a new pet enters the home, your cat isn't just noticing the new smell or the new sound. They're tracking how much of you is being redirected somewhere else. And that changes everything. What most owners don't realize is that cats form incredibly specific emotional attachments to their humans. Not in the loud, obvious way a dog does, but quietly, carefully, like a thread pulled tight between two people who don't talk about it. Researchers at Oregon State University discovered that cats actually form secure attachment bonds with their owners, bonds that closely mirror the attachment bonds seen in human infants with their caregivers. That means when something threatens that bond, even subtly, a cat doesn't just feel inconvenienced, they feel something closer to what we might call loss. So when that new puppy runs towards you, tail wagging, demanding your full attention, and you laugh and kneel down and give it exactly that, your cat is not being dramatic when they walk out of the room. They're responding to a real emotional signal. Something in their world just shifted, and they felt it before you even noticed. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Because jealousy in cats doesn't always look the way you'd expect. It doesn't always roar. Most of the time, it whispers. One of the most common signs is what animal behaviorists call attention-seeking displacement behavior. Suddenly, the cat, who is perfectly independent, starts weaving between your legs every time you stand up. They knock things off shelves, and I know you've laughed at that, but watch when they do it. Often, it's right after you've given attention to the other animal. Right. After you've cooed over the puppy or baby talked to the new kitten. They're not clumsy. They're strategic. And what they're doing is pulling focus, pulling you back toward them. Think about that for a second. Your cat has figured out that chaos gets your attention, and they're using it. But some cats go the other direction entirely, and this is the sign that worries a lot of owners. Instead of demanding attention, they withdraw. They stop coming to you. They stop purring when you pick them up. They sit with their back to you, which, if you didn't know, is actually a significant gesture for a cat. Turning their back isn't indifference. It's a kind of emotional protest. It's them saying, I expected more from you. And yet, if you watch closely, and this is something I want you to pay attention to, that they're never truly away. They're always in the same room, always within a certain radius. They've moved the distance just far enough to make a point, but not so far that they've actually let go. Something deeper is happening here. This push-pull, this calculated distance. It's not coldness. It's heartbreak with boundaries. There's another behavior that almost nobody connects to jealousy, and I want to spend a moment here because it's one of the most misunderstood things a cat can do. Grooming you excessively. Your cat starts licking your hand, your arm, your face, more than usual, more insistently than usual. You think it's sweet. You think they become more affectionate. But sometimes, not always, but sometimes, this is actually a reclaiming behavior. When cats lick you, they're depositing their scent. They're saying, on a biological level, this human is mine. And when a new animal has entered the picture, that instinct kicks into high gear. They're not just being loving, they're being territorial about you. And once you see that, you can never unsee it. Now let's talk about something that goes even deeper, because so far we've been looking at what cats do. But there's a question underneath all of this that I think matters more. Why does it affect them so much? Here's what animal behaviorists believe. Cats, unlike pack animals, don't have an instinctive framework for sharing their primary attachment figure. Dogs evolved in social groups. They understand hierarchy. They understand that affection can be distributed. Cats didn't evolve that way. In the wild, a cat's bond with a reliable caregiver, whether that's another cat in a small colony or a human, is one of the most important things in their life. It's safety, it's food, it's warmth, It's everything. So when that bond suddenly has competition, they don't just feel sad. They feel something closer to threat. Not physical threat, emotional threat, the kind that makes the whole world feel slightly less certain. And that is heartbreaking when you think about it. But here's something I want you to hold on to, because this is the part that changes how you respond. Cats are remarkably resilient if they feel seen. Studies on multi-pet households have shown that cats who receive consistent, intentional one-on-one time with their owner, even in small amounts, show significantly lower stress markers than cats who are simply around the owner but not engaged by the owner. The amount of time matters less than the quality of attention. What that means is, your cat isn't asking you to love the new pet less. They're asking you to make sure they still feel chosen. That's a subtle but enormous difference. And this brings us to one more behavior I want to highlight, because it might be the most poignant one of all. Some cats, when they're feeling replaced, will start sleeping near the new animal. Not with them, not cuddled up, but near. On the edge of the same bed, on the floor at the foot of the couch where the puppy sleeps. Close enough to monitor, close enough to be part of the group, even reluctantly. What most owners don't realize is that this is actually a form of acceptance mixed with sadness. The cat hasn't decided to like the new animal, but they've decided that being near you, even a you that's been divided, is better than being alone. If you've ever seen your cat do this, quietly positioning themselves just on the edge of things, I want you to know that took courage. In a cat's emotional world, that kind of compromise is enormous. Now, I promised you earlier in this video that there was something important coming, and this is it. The single biggest mistake people make when their cat shows jealousy is treating it as a behavior problem. They get frustrated, they push the cat away because the timing feels inconvenient. They assume the cat will figure it out. But what a cat actually needs in that moment is the opposite of distance. Animal behaviorists recommend something so simple it almost sounds too easy. Make eye contact, blink slowly, and speak to your cat in a calm, low voice, specifically when the other animal is present. Not to exclude the other pet, but to let your cat know that the presence of another animal does not mean the absence of your love. A slow blink, in cat language, is one of the most profound gestures of trust and safety. It says, "You are not a threat to me, and I am not a threat to you." When a cat slow blinks at you, it's one of the most tender things they're capable of. And when you slow blink back, especially in a moment when they're feeling uncertain, you're speaking directly to their deepest emotional need. You're telling them, "I still see you." Over time, most cats do find their footing in a multi-pet home. The jealousy doesn't disappear overnight, but it softens. Little by little, the displaced behaviors ease. The strategic knocking things off shelves becomes less frequent. The cold back-turning gives way gradually to cautious proximity. And then one day, sometimes months later, you look over and your original cat is asleep 3 inches from the animal they once resented. Not. Best friends maybe, but at peace. And that peace came because of you, because you stayed consistent, because you kept choosing them, even while loving something new. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Your cat's jealousy isn't a flaw. It isn't manipulation. It isn't spite. It's one of the most honest, unfiltered emotional responses they're capable of, because they don't have words, and they don't have logic to reason through their feelings. They only have behavior, every knocked glass, every cold shoulder, every excessive lick, every silent repositioning at the edge of the room. That's your cat trying to communicate something they have no other way to say. "I love you. I'm scared. Please don't forget me." And when you understand that, really understand it, something shifts. You stop being annoyed by the behavior, you start being moved by it, because what they're showing you, beneath all the feline mystery and theatrical distance, is the same thing humans feel when someone they love suddenly seems to be choosing someone else. It's vulnerability. Raw, unfiltered, completely honest vulnerability. And isn't that extraordinary? This small, fur-covered creature, who acts so independent, who seems so self-contained, loves you enough to fall apart a little when they think they might lose you. That's not jealousy. That's devotion. If this video gave you a new way to see your cat, share it with someone who has a multi-pet household. They might be misreading their cat right now, and everything could change with just a little more understanding. And if you want to go even deeper into the hidden emotional world of cats, stay right here. The next video is already waiting for you.